Hazardscape community, I'm starting to finally get around to publishing some tutorials on the Hazardscape Indigenous Emergency Management System application. And these are they're not scripted. I'm just going to go through them kind of in small bits as features roll out and as kind of people start going through the process of using the app. But really, it's located at app.hazardscape. This is the landing page. And you'll see right away, you've got the free trial button here, the quick free assessment for an EM program. So if people are not logged in and they just want to take a look at how the assessments work, they can do that. And just going over how it works, our about pricing pages. Pretty normal setup. We do kind of outline a little bit of the process here to start, so people looking at it can get a bit of an idea of what exactly this application is. But I think for the purpose of this one, I'm going to kind of go through the initial, orientation or few minutes that you might see. If you're not a user, basically first name, last name, email address, password, community. Pretty typical of any login. I've already got mine set up, obviously, so I will get logged in and show you what a user account or a member account will look like off the hop. So right from the beginning, this is your dashboard, and you can always get back to your dashboard through the top menu here. And you'll always get a tip of the day, and you'll always get a give feedback button where you can send us information, bugs, and report issues if you don't want to use our token system, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. But where you start off with is all members, whether they're free or paid members, have access to the daily sit rep, the resource library, and our learning library. The sit rep is just basically a compiled daily situation briefing specific to Indigenous communities that outlines active emergencies. We go through wildfire risk. These are all the tables of where active fires are in different provinces and territories, weather and environmental hazards, infrastructure, public health alerts, and policy and funding news. And then we added an Arctic update and Nunavut and Inuit community section. You get a community safety news, some preparedness tips, and then all of the sources for this briefing with some key information and contacts. So that populates every day by about 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You can adjust the size of the text here, and you can download a Word version if you want to use it for your own community's leadership briefings. The resource library is just a collection of links that take you to external sites. These are all trusted sources that we use that are based off, provincial, territorial, or federal government or other developers. ISK, we've got grant fund information. It's just a collection of quick links that you can access different data sources at. And then lastly, our learning library takes you to our YouTube, our podcast, our Patreon, and we're building out a knowledge hub where you can go in and start to just access some quick information on various types of roles that you might play in a community on an emergency management team. We've got some crisis communications pieces here. I think we've got some planning guidance for crisis communications. These are just tips to get you kind of familiar with different subjects of emergency management. Again, you can adjust the color of the screen, make it large, and you can even share it with your network. So that's all being built out into what is the free portion of the site that everyone's going to get access to. As you scroll down, once you create assessments, you'll only see this next steps once you've started. So where you'll really want to start off is in the assessment area, which offers a hazard risk vulnerability assessment, an on-reserve fire services assessment, a resilience assessment, which is really based around business continuity for nation administration, health admin, education, even child and family services, and then your emergency management program assessment. As you populate and run the reports of those assessments, all of the information and data feeds into our planning hub. And this is where you'll get to develop a strategic emergency management plan and an emergency operations plan. We also have a disaster recovery starter plan where you can go in and start to do some disaster recovery preparedness. It also auto populates from the other plans, but we've kept them kind of separately because one is specific to the strategic governance policy of emergency management, the daily operations of running an emergency program, and recovery is sort of outside of those regular response and preparedness ops. So we kept it separate. And then you have access to the grant writing tool, which again, as we progress and as you go through the app, you'll notice that when you create a new application, you can pull in all of your reports and data from your assessments and plans, so you're not having to rewrite everything. The menu field up here, again, you can go to your dashboard. There's a resilience journey, meaning when you are a brand new member, you'll start off by completing a community profile, and then you'll want to go through each assessment. And as you go through all of these steps, it's recording your journey or your progress. And where that ends up is within your profile, you will earn badges or achievements. So as you move through this process of developing a full-scale emergency management program, your badges will populate as you progress. And that also equates into highlighting actual real work that you've done in your community. Also in here, you'll notice you can get to your subscription billing page. Your community profile is quite vital because you need to have a minimum amount of criteria populated for the assessments to work. So if the information is not fully populated, it'll tell you, but you only need a community name. I think it's the population, the agreement or a treaty number, and I think that's about it as vital information. And I'm not going to go too far into it, but we are also building in here a my contributions tokens page and idea board, which means if you contribute to the development of the application, either by submitting feedback on bugs or fixes, or more meaningful features, your community can earn $12 per token, which reduces your subscription cost. And basically what it looks like is if you go to the idea board and you want to submit an idea, it will get populated into the idea board, and other community members can either upvote or downvote your idea. And the ones that get upvoted and are most accepted will be eligible for implementation and then that token payment. So the better the ideas, the bigger the ideas, even small ones, even if you want to change the color of the website or the app or the background color and people upvote it and they agree, you could earn tokens for that. So any idea, not too big or not too small. So that is just kind of the rough outline of the application and a really quick tutorial of what it looks like. If you want, I'm going to go more in depth in all of these assessments because this is also a training as well. But just to give you a quick idea of what you're looking at here, this is the hazard risk assessment, which is built off the United Nations hazard identification classification documents. So this will be updated as the UN updates all of their hazards that they classify. And you've got basically a laundry list of every kind of hazard you might experience within a community context. And you can pick as many or as little as you want. It's just as simple as, clicking on them and then continuing over to start to rank each one. And you'll notice that as you kind of adjust these, it takes the overall rating average. You can enter in some supporting narrative, and you also get a rating guide that tells you what is low, medium, or high for frequency, severity, intensity, population, and infrastructure exposure. Then you go on to your vulnerability. It's got a guide as well. And your lack of coping capacity, which is really how limited is the community's ability to respond. So if your institutional and governance capacity is very limited, right? Infrastructure, right? You've got not a great ability to cope. So no formal frameworks, unreliable or absent basic utilities, no emergency training programs. You would want to rank those high because that feeds into your vulnerability. And you do this for every single one. And you want to also include, there's two ways you can do this really. One, you could do it on your own based on what you have. Or of course, you may want to hold community meetings and get input from people, which you normally should do. But if you want to just run through this really quickly as a practitioner to see where things land, you can do that because you can always go in and create another assessment or update this one. So we'll go over, you can link multi-hazards. So if we had a landslide and a wildfire, you can put if it's triggering, amplifying, compounding, or sequential. You can make some notes and you can add as many relationships here and all of that together. So I just had to go and reduce some of my hazard selections because you can't run an analyzer until all of the hazard information is populated. So I just went and took some out because I didn't want to have to fill in everything. But once you do the AI analyzer, and it can take a minute or two, it'll ask you if it wants to auto-populate the relevant data from this assessment into the EM assessment and the recovery capitals, which is going to save you a lot of time. So of course we do. We close that, and then you get your report. And depending on the size of the report, this will be really long or really short. And you can download it into Word and Excel, which then gives you the ability to brand it with your community, add your colors, freeform text a little bit more. But this will stay like this in the system until you go back and you want to make some additions. So it's a living document. And that's the nice thing about it is, again, if I were to go and add urban flood and then go through the analysis for that, and I go back to the report, it will automatically update this report and put all that data into the other assessments and the plans. That's just a really quick tour of one assessment. They all work very similar within their subject matter. And I will go through some of these in more detail in another video, but I just wanted to give you a really quick rundown. If you have any questions about this or you want to, get a free trial that extends a little bit more past the 7 days, please let me know. You can email us at support@hazardscape.com, or you can sign in and you can go to the give feedback here and just send it to us, that request, that way as well. If you found this beneficial and you want others like you to come across it, please like and share this videos so we can build up our community, so we can get more people in here using it, so more communities strengthen their emergency management program. Take care.